research that indicated that low maintenance friendships provide a sense of connection and support without an emotional strain, leading to greater overall happiness and well-being.
And lose the expectations. We have so many expectations in every other aspect of our lives.
Right.
Work, parenthood,
Right.
relationships, like
Right.
romantic relationships.
Absolutely.
Do our friendships have to be that hard? Do you know that?
Hi, thank you for joining yet another episode of Get Set with Lissette. This is where we have inspiring conversations that empower you to get set. This conversation today is a special one. It's special because I'm having a conversation with a girlfriend of mine that we have been friends since literally freshman year of college. I met her fall of 2003 at Kutztown University, and we've been rocking with each other ever since. The topic for today is going to be about low maintenance friendships, the fact that they're important, the fact that they're underrated because they're actually statistics that show how important they are to someone for your mental health and your well-being. And I'm just going to give you guys a nice glimpse of me, my friendships, and those that I love dearest. So, Mindy, welcome to the episode.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for us to have a conversation because Lissette circa 2024 is very different than Lissette circa 2003. And I think that this conversation is going to not only bring that to life, it also just shows the evolution of both of us. The fact that like we're both thriving women that are doing amazing things. You're active in the military. Here I am in real estate and podcasting and doing all the things. And when you think about it, who would have thought that those two girls at Berks Hall would turn out to be what we are today? Like, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And here we are with each other. So I know that you're a little nervous. This isn't your forte. So I'm going to go ahead and just do some rapid fire questions. Don't overthink it. There's no wrong answer. It's just a this or that, okay? So, sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Okay. Morning person or night owl? I know
Morning.
this one. Exactly. Annoyingly morning.
Once upon a time, but currently.
Okay. Introvert or extrovert?
I would say introverted.
Okay. Okay. Introverted to most, extroverted to those you love.
Yes.
Okay. And now this one, watch the YouTube or listen to the podcast?
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna watch how we do.
Yes, I prefer to see it.
You prefer to
The
see
visual.
it. Okay. I ain't mad at that. So all right, we got the jitters out. We're ready to go. And we're gonna have a conversation about how we got to know each other, how we've evolved, and the friendship that we still carry today. But before I go into the hows, I want to actually provide some stats on this very topic, low maintenance friendships. Not only do I believe that they're important, and I can speak to that because, again, we have it, and I think it's fairly low maintenance. Like, we can go months sometime without speaking to each other, but we pick up where we left off, and it's never any love lost. So I think that just speaks to how genuine our relationship is and the genuine love that's there. But I just wanted to go a step further and let's just explain how it actually is a healthy thing. So, some stats to bring to light on this very topic. A study published in Psychology Today in 2019 found that quality friendships, particularly those that are low maintenance, significantly reduce stress levels and contribute to improved mental health. A study in Personal Relationships published in 2016 highlighted that individuals who prioritize quality friendships over quantity, especially the low maintenance ones, report higher levels of life satisfaction and emotional well-being. Research from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships in 2018 found that 70% of respondents valued flexibility in friendships, which is in alignment with characteristics of low maintenance relationships. And then just another one to show how important these type of friendships are. research, yes, there was an article published in the Journal of Personality and Individual Differences in 2020 that shared research that indicated that low maintenance friendships provide a sense of connection and support without an emotional strain, leading to greater overall happiness and well being. So, literally, we've got science to back up and explain the importance of these kinds of friendships. We're able to pour into each other, we're able to still have that connection with one another, the love, and there's no strain, there's no emotional ties, there's no, oh my God, what if I don't call, or the guilt that comes with where have you been? None of that is present. So I just thought it was important for us to kind of discuss, not only is it what we have, but there's a beauty in it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how we met. Okay. Of course.
Let's talk about how I could remember the particular instance.
Talk about it. Exactly.
And where we met.
Right. And I'm the one that, of course, because I have a memory of I don't know what, I remember the fact. Now, I can't say that I remember without a shadow of a doubt the exact, but I know that we were training because we were both like front desk staff and we were living in the same hall.
Yep.
And prior to like actual start of school or whatever, we had to go through a little bit of training on how to do the duties, everything else. And I just know that you and I sat either next to or around each other, and that was a wrap. That's what I do know. I know that we were training for the position. I know that you and I worked together at the front desk. And I know that at some point after that training and moving forward, that was it. Like It was our little group. Like,
so when I thought about it, the question, I was like, it kind of feels like I knew you before college because I can't quite pinpoint when exactly that we had encountered each other.
Okay.
It just kind of felt like we had always spent our entire college career together.
Which we did.
After you said it, I do remember that we did have that training at Beck Hall.
Exactly.
And that was an all-girls dorm at the time.
Correct. Yep.
And, we were sitting the receptionist. We had to do our schedule, 2 hours.
Exactly.
Like 2-hour slots and whatnot.
Yeah. And I do remember, and we can agree to disagree, or we can go into it. After the position there, you and I worked with each other at like multiple different employment.
Do you really want to? we don't. Oh, no, we will. Because who you are today and who you are then. I got fired from my first job.
Okay. Here we go.
Because of you.
You did not. Go ahead, Mindy. Go ahead.
So while we're on the topic of jobs and how we met, we also held multiple jobs together throughout college.
Yeah.
When we stopped being receptionists.
Correct.
Was it Woogie's?
Yes, it was
Woogie's.
Yes.
And oh man, that job was so fun. But this one didn't want to show up to her shifts. And when they fired her, they fired us together because they hired us together.
Exactly. We were like a dual pair kind of thing. But in my defense, and that's why I always say we go back and forth, I had like a conflict with the schedule and everything of that sort. And I did my best to actually explain and do what was necessary for it. But just like I am today, back then, I held true, like my ground. And I was very much like, no, we're not going to play this. No, that's not how we're going to play. And yes, I held a stance. And in holding that stance, I lost the job.
Our jobs.
I lost mine. Okay. Yours.
But we could, we digress.
But that's exactly it. So when I think about our friendship, I think about the fact that we started with just getting to know each other just off rip from that job. But then I also know that like we created like our own little circle, and it was almost impenetrable. Yeah. Like we became a family unit. I remember, and we won't go into too many details, but do you remember family meetings?
Mm-mm.
You don't, or you don't want to talk about it?
Mm-mm.
You don't want to talk about it.
Like the meetings that we would have after maybe a rough night.
Or conflict within the group.
Yes.
Or like, I remember having these like ridiculous, in my opinion, ridiculous
actually,
Go
in
ahead.
hindsight, it was
Okay.
kind of like a maturity thing,
True.
because opposed to running away from the conflicts that we had encountered,
That's
we
fair.
just, and unknowingly, really, because we were just young and we were
Yeah.
just, it was just a personality trait at the time. But if you look
Fair.
back in hindsight, it was actually a very mature thing to do because we just faced the conflict head on so
True.
that we would find resolution.
Yeah.
And then 21 years later, can be sitting
Can
in
still be
chairs
sitting here having a conversation.
on your podcast.
That's, okay. I'm going to give you that because while I don't agree with some with some of the topics or some of the conflicts that we had.
Oh. Yes. Those, I never brought those topics up.
Fair. But while I never agreed with them, I do agree with the fact that, like, we did from the very beginning create a precedence of having hard conversations right on the spot, addressing things, sharing our boundaries, sharing what we were willing to do, what we weren't willing to do. And honestly, I do think that it spoke to a lot of the relationships because it put a certain level of precedence about we care about this, like this circle, F everything else kind of thing. Forget the noise. Like, this is what we're trying to preserve. So let's just lay it all out on the line here. And I do think that you're right. That allowed these friendships to not only be friendships, but like legitimately family. Like, I remember spending weekends at your parents' house and like going up to Reading and like spending time out there. I know all of your siblings and your own like, and vice versa. I don't know if you remember coming to the beach with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. With your family trip. Yes.
Exactly. With the family trip. Like, we literally just like, my family still ask about you and vice versa. And I think it speaks to genuine connection. It speaks to the fact that, like, when you really care about a person, you put the time into it. So in that same regard, let's go down memory lane. Like, some of the like top moments that you can think of off the top of the line without incriminating anyone, because there's some stories that just need to remain anonymous. However, like I said, we talked about working together. I do not agree, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm the reason why she was fired. So we're going to let that go. However, we were always considered a package deal.
Yeah.
In every position. I mean, we also worked down at the
pizza shop.
The pizza shop together as well. We took classes together. Talk about what we were talking about earlier when it comes to classes. Like, who would have thunk it? Who would have thought?
So we, with discussions on like how far we've come,
right?
So in college, it was this, like you said, it was this impenetrable, untouchable group of girls that just, we really knew who we were.
Fair.
And I think that's what made us likable, made us dislikable, was because we were who we were and we were unapologetic about that.
I agree with that.
And it's so funny because we're saying about what college really is and what it really means. And yes, it's important to come away with that experience with a degree, but almost more importantly is the relationships and the experiences and the networking that is built throughout that process.
Exactly.
So we joke about how we had classes together.
Fair.
And I would come and hard nights of studying.
And I
would come in your room the next morning, like our 8 o'clock class.
Exactly.
And I would be met with, take good notes. And then here we are 21 years later. And by far, in my personal opinion, you are the most successful out of us all.
I appreciate. Yeah.
So it's
you're right there. Let's not.
I'm not,
Yeah.
but hands down. So I just think it's funny how full circle things come, right?
Absolutely. Well, and I think it's because, going into what you're saying, college is more than just the classes. Like, the reality is if I did not go, like, it's amazing how life works, where life is just a series of decisions that are made and the paths that those decisions take you on. Had we not gone to the same university, would our lives even, come across one another? Would we have ever been in a position where we were able to meet each other and create the relationship that we have? And I just look at the college experience, and like you're saying, it's not just about the actual curricula and the information that you're getting in the classroom. It's about the lifelong experiences and the values that are being created in you, the ideas that you're implementing, the character that you're creating, and deciding what kind of adult you want to be because of what you're doing on the college campus. Like, it goes so far past the classes that I
Right.
did not necessarily attend. Still passed. Still passed. Can I just throw that out there? Graduated with an acceptable GPA. I won't say that it was my best,
And who cares?
but I graduated.
Nobody asks about GPA
Talk
after
about it.
graduation.
Right. Because who cares? At the end of the day, it's a matter of you made it through the experience, you completed it. So if nothing else, at least you completed it. So you've got the quote unquote degree, but it's what happens in the in between
Right.
that I think really like determines who you're going to be as an adult. How are you going to show up? Like, how about when we did the summer freshman year and taking summer classes? Because again, freshman year was not my best year. So I definitely took summer classes that semester, and yet almost didn't make it through the summer sessions because of fun. However, thank God, Amindy, because I remember taking a philosophy class that was an easy A. And here goes Lissette, queen of procrastination. One of the assignments that we had to do was simply every single day journal. Something that I do now just out of pure mental health and like leisure. That's what was implemented. And I remember being up till, I want to say like 2 something in the morning, writing every single entry that I had missed throughout the entire summer. Mind you, yours was done. You actually did it, right? And yet, we were up. You were doing something though, because I remember you were working on like some kind of assignment. We were just playing catch up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think about all the moments. Or Gettysburg.
Girl. The glass is flying out. My glasses. The glass is flying out the window. Yes.
Like all the things. Like, I don't know. I think about the trips that we took. I also think about the fact that we were blessed to be able to live to tell the stories. And thank God we didn't go to school during a day and age of social media.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine?
Even with what you said with the assignments, that wouldn't have flown then because they're done virtual assignments. And then it would have been, time stamped for when you did it.
Fair.
There's so many factors that played in that we went to school.
Yeah.
Fair.
Because I would not have been able to get away with doing the whole book in like a night. That's fair. And yet, I'm just saying.
But yes, especially the social media.
The social media is what I think about. Because I think about, and this is just me, and you can correct me, I think the conflicts, the crazy nights, the almost coming blow for blow with each other, sorry guys, drunken, moments that we've had is what led to the closeness. Because those moments led to us to have like real like passionate moments of like, oh my God, look at me, or oh my God, you're doing this or you're doing that. And I think that those moments led to the closeness that we have today because, like you said, our personalities, in my opinion, were probably the most similar in the fact that I was going to stand 10 toes down true on this is who Lissette is. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. And that's just, I was unapologetic. And you, I think, were very similar in that regard. And so because of it, I do think that you and I tend to like have probably a lot of like almost moments where it could have gone left.
I think, a lot of times. But I think it's because in that you stood in on this leg of the platform,
Right.
and a lot of times I stood on this leg of the platform, and
Mhm.
we had different uh personality traits
Correct.
that whereas you tend to be a lot more nice
Yeah.
and I can sometimes be a little more abrasive. So those were
Yeah.
things, it was those things. But I
Fair.
think because we still stood in our character and who we were in that genuineness that we are just good people,
Yeah.
we were always able to come back from those conflicts
I agree.
because, hey, this is my explain my stance and this is how why I explain my stance. And it's then
Yeah.
we meet in the middle.
And we found a way to meet. And I think that that lends itself to the success moving forward because I think we've always done that. We did it during our college, we did it after graduation. I mean, post graduation, I wasn't at all of them, and that's okay. It's no harm, no foul. But I did come to like some of the Ocean City like trips,
Mhm.
or we maintained the friendship post college. We found opportunities to still make space for one
Mhm.
another. We found ways to say, you know, hey, I know life is taking you in this direction and life is taking me over there. Let's just make a weekend of it. Let's
Right.
just make, and we found ways to make time. And I think that that's what's most important when I think about us, that no matter where life takes us, we find a way to make time
Mhm.
and show up when it's important to show up.
Especially when it's important to show up. The other times,
Yeah.
those are the extra times that we can, but on big life events,
Yes. Yes.
especially, I think it's important. And I think that's with adult friendships, like in general, low maintenance friendships, right? That's
Yeah.
the whole idea of the conversation
Right.
is that the ability to pour into something
Mm.
without really even nicking your own cup.
Right. And having the ability and it come from a genuine space and place. Like I don't and I also think that the love is genuine and it's real. And so there is no I need to get something out of it. Like
Right.
when we pour into each other, it's genuine and it's just coming from a place of, no, I genuinely want the best for you. I
Hmm.
genuinely want to be a part of this because I'm excited for where you're going. There's no Lisette in it. It's 100% like, yes, I'm going to be showing up and going to Delaware and being in a random wedding situation. Yes, I'm going to come and spend this weekend away and everything else. Why? Because I want the opportunity to celebrate and put everything into your life experiences and these milestone moments, and I feel blessed and honored to still be a part of those things. It doesn't come with a what do I get out of
Right.
it? You know what I mean? Like it comes from a space of like,
There's
no,
no tit for tat.
correct. No tit for tat at all. And I think that that's always been us. Like, and it's because we're just good people and we just connected. So I want to talk about what you think college did for you when it comes to your character, and then go into how our friendship has evolved. I already threw out there clearly I was in your first wedding. Um, and I'm excited. It was an amazing opportunity and beautiful thing. But like, what did college do? And how were you when you walked away? And then let's go into other moments that we've shown up for each other and why we work. So what do you feel like college like did?
I think college was a big growing period.
Okay.
Like you make mistakes
Mm-hmm.
and you find ways to recover from them and to grow from them and to take that into your next experience. Um, College was networking, college was
Yes.
friendships.
Yes.
I joined the sorority in college and I've maintained many of those relationships to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So the networking piece that comes with that. For me, the professional growth that also came with being in a sorority and hosting
Absolutely.
events, public speaking, and
Right.
that type of jazz. So I was able to take that into adulthood, right?
Absolutely.
I can't tell you a single thing that I learned.
Ah, okay.
I can't tell you a single thing that I learned, but I did walk away with a degree
Right.
and a degree that I to this day have not used. But,
Well, yeah, that you went in a different
you
route.
know,
However, I think we can all agree, or we both agree when we were talking earlier, it's the other, it's the aftermath, it's
right.
the relationships, the career building, the public speaking and the extracurriculars
Mhm.
that have actually helped. I feel like, so I remember sharing one of my moments where life went left for me was during one of our extracurricular activities. And while I did not join the sorority,
Mhm.
I was a part of the group prior
Right.
to joining the sorority. And I remember going to a domestic violence shelter in Reading for one of these things. I can't remember if you were there with me or how I ended up, but I know that this is one of those moments where I don't remember all of the pieces of the puzzle, but I had a life-changing moment with the experience that we had. We were reading to kids. And in that moment, I knew that I wanted to have impact on other people's lives. I wanted to actually serve and help individuals that could not necessarily maybe speak for themselves or couldn't. And it's crazy how life takes me on this
Yeah.
journey and the experiences that I experienced later on, that in this moment, it was dealing with women, battered women, women that had come out of domestic violence situations. And I wouldn't have experienced that in the typical curricula.
Right.
It was the extracurriculars. It was the getting involved in different
Mhm.
things. And it was all of you that were like, oh, we're going to do this thing, that created a, yes, let's do it. And it imprinted itself in my, like, I remember vividly the time, the location, what we were doing, how we went about it. And I want to say, and I don't think it till now, because I couldn't remember what the extracurricular, I believe it was one of the events for the sorority that I ended up not joining. But it was
You didn't need to say not like that.
I'm so sorry. It was a moment. It was a moment,
Yeah.
But it's funny how life just takes us
Yeah.
on our journeys like that. And I think that in all of that, I also know that because of my own decisions, I didn't graduate in spring. I graduated in or no, I didn't graduate like typical summer. I graduated December.
Mhm.
So I don't even think we were at each other's graduation,
Mm-mm.
because you did graduate on time.
Mhm.
Yay, kudos to you.
The summer classes
Oh, yeah.
is what had me graduate on time.
Because you did them again. I only did it the freshman year.
No, I did summer classes regularly, so I wouldn't have to do
Ah,
a fuller curriculum throughout the normal semesters.
got it. Because we did them the same that freshman year, but that
Mhm.
was it for me. Because if anything, I felt like it almost hurt me than it did help me.
Yeah, no, I did them almost every summer, and I
Ah,
did winter classes.
I did do winter classes like once. I did winter classes when I took school more seriously,
Mhm.
if I'm honest. And as much as I love, so can we also talk about the fact that, like, how about the fact that we all basically lived together for like long periods of time,
Oh my goodness.
and like what that looked like? And even when we were still in the dorms, like we were constantly in one another's
Space.
places. Like, I think that that also plays a part. We were connected probably almost too much. Like, I don't know if I ever moved or did or walked away from someone without one of y'all being with me.
Yeah.
Like, how how did that develop? Like, I'm actually having a moment. Like, how did we get so
I don't know. I have no idea, and I think that's just one of those things that happens naturally.
fair?
Because think about how many other seasons of friendship
Right.
that we encountered
Mhm.
during college. How
Fair.
many of those people, those names that you do or vaguely remember,
Right.
because those friendships were seasons. So
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't know how it happened.
And then, because I did want to think back. So, like, we both get out of school. We spent a majority of our college education together.
Hmm.
My last year of college, I actually commuted. So I wasn't living with you guys any long. Like, I wasn't around any of you. I only came solely to school. And yet and still, you and I somehow maintained relationship.
Hmm.
And it goes back to what we've done. And now in adulthood, how has our relationship shifted, do you think? Because I actually think it's shifted for the best.
I would agree. Well, because I don't know that. No, I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
Because when you say for the best, I think that this has always been one of
Fair.
my enjoyable relationships
Okay.
because it's always been easy. I don't think me and you ever had expectations of each
Fair.
other, and that's what made it so easy.
I agree.
I didn't have to ever going into a conversation worrying about what is Lisette going to think about me
That's
when she
fair.
finds this out or now that she knows this. So I think that played a big part in
I
it,
think that's true,
even
actually.
from birth of the
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah. I think that's true.
So in our adulthood, I think how we maintain it is distance. Distance makes anything difficult, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, but when you are making small tokens of effort
Right.
to maintain things like um showing up for the big things,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
if I've lived out of the state for quite some time
Correct.
now,
Yes.
when I come up, you making the effort to come to me or
Yes.
making the time to take off so that we can spend time together.
Right.
um
And vice
call
versa. Like, I love the fact that you've been in different states because it just gives me a reason to go visit said state. And you making space for me to stay with you in your home, taking me out. Can we talk about the fact that last time I came to visit you, you were literally pregnant and still made time to, like, hey, let's go to a farmer's market. Hey, like, you wanted to make it an experience for me. So it wasn't, even though I came literally just to spend time with you prior to your daughter coming into the world, I think it's what you said. Like, neither of us set expectations for each other, but we do show up when we
Yes.
decide to show up. Like, and it just comes naturally. Like, if you're in town, by nature, it's my personality to say, hey, Mindy's in a X amount of proximity, because Reading is not that far from me. When you really think about it, like
Right.
when we were younger, it felt like such a distance. But in
Because the
my
world is so small.
Right. Like, you feel like, oh my God, how am I going to get there? What am I going to,
Hmm.
in my adulthood, it's like, that's a quick drive. It's not that bad. I care about the relationship enough to make time. And yet I care about you enough to also know that time is precious and we both have life that's just doing what life is going to do, right? And I'm not going to set a precedence on you to say you must this, you must
Hmm.
that, but I also don't need to, because I know that when I need you,
Yep.
that's when you show up. You've always been there whenever I need something, and vice versa. I
Hmm.
also haven't had as many big life
Yeah, that's true.
situations. I've,
We talked about that. Hmm.
exactly. Like, you've had more of them. And of course, I'm going to make space for them because I celebrate that. I was focused on career.
Hmm.
And I mean, doing great and love where career's taking me. And yet it doesn't allow for like milestone moments of
Yeah.
showing
Right.
showing up.
Baby showers and
Correct. But when you've got them
birthdays and
all day, every day, I'm going to be there. However, what do you get from this friendship? Let me just ask that. Like, what does it bring you then?
I think what joy.
Mm,
Joy. And I think that's one of the most important things.
yeah.
It I don't we don't get monetary things.
No. Right.
I
Yeah.
think it is joy. It is
Mhm.
support. It is
Absolutely.
love. It is all those things that they're not tangible.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
those are the things that I get from this friendship,
Oh, don't
you
make
know?
me cry. I was gonna say, don't do
Oh
it.
no.
Don't do, don't do it. But I agree. I do. I say it all the time. You're probably the lowest maintenance friend that I have, and one of the dearest, because it's so easy. Because we're so different in our spaces, but you make space for whatever it is that we've got going on. And we can also catch up with each other and no time has been lost. It can be literally like
Months.
months.
I think we've gone as long as a year.
Fair.
I think after the vacation we took, we've
Yeah.
gone as long as a year, and then we're like, one of us calls and it's like, we got 45 minutes. And then try to squeeze as much as we can into it.
Absolutely.
And no
Because
love lost.
no love lost. And neither of us is coming to each other on some, where have you been? What's going on? It's
Mhm.
just, hey, realize I haven't talked to you in a really long period of time. What's going on? I'm headed to this. Let's talk. I'm headed to that. Let's talk. And I think that or I know we're infamous for the sending of, like, you will forever be one of the people I send random Instagram reels to. And I am okay with being that friend. I am okay with just sending you random things that lets you know this made me
This
think of
made me
you.
think of you. Yep.
That's exactly what it is. And because this made me think of you here, or I found this hilarious and I know the kind of person and personality you have and the, dry sense of humor that you have that I think we share. And I know you're going to find this funny too. Like, I think that needs to be talked about. And it goes back to the stats that we shared at the beginning. All we bring to one another is love, genuine relationship and connection, and support when support is needed. Because even the support, those happen at very particular times. I pray that you know that I'd be there no matter like what, like I know that you know that. I just enjoy your company. I enjoy the laughs, the conversations, and everything that comes with it. And I find it so cool that now you've got kids and like you can bring that into it. Like the ability to like FaceTime randomly and I every single time have to reintroduce myself. But your son kind of remembering,
Mhm.
like, yeah, I remember when, or yeah, and like having that, like that warms my heart. Like this evolution just shows it's not difficult to maintain if it's the right relationship.
Right.
Because I do think that, like you said earlier, people come into your lives for reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. And it's very few the amount that are lifetimes. But I do think that we're that. Like I see us in older adulthood still showing up,
Mhm.
still being present, family still being 100% like, you know,
How is this person? What are they doing now?
how I love the fact that your mom thinks I'm younger, but it's fine.
Mom.
I'm for it. I'm for it. Look, thank you. Thank you. However, yes, I want us to keep that going. So let's talk about life now. Like, where do you see yourself going? How do you like, what does life look like in your life now? Just randomly.
Well, so I'm active duty.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that, which has taken me out of the state.
Right.
Um, Geez, I've lived in a few states since leaving Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I've been deployed.
Yeah, I know.
The 2 kids now, so that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's like working full time, being a mother full time, and then trying to maintain relationships with people that are not in physical proximity.
Exactly.
So that's that's something that now has like been a almost like I can't think of the word, it escapes me. A staple of
Okay.
my life,
Mm-hmm.
maintaining friendships
Mm.
because even familial, like my
Yeah.
family, making time to do that
Mm-hmm.
because of this vast distance that's between us. It's not at your fingertips anymore.
Absolutely. Right.
So this is something that I have become quite familiar with, right?
Right.
And then doing it for anybody outside of family,
Mm-hmm.
that's effort.
Facts.
That's effort
Right.
because I'm all consumed. When I'm not at work, I'm with my kids and my
Absolutely.
partner.
As you should
And
be.
then you have to find time for everything else. And that's why when I make these trips home,
Right.
there's this handful of people that I say, hey,
Yeah.
because I learned you
Mm-hmm.
can't tell everybody because then, some people think, oh, well, you didn't come see me.
Right.
I made it all the way to the state. You didn't come see me. So,
Exactly.
there's these handful of people that I always make sure that I say,
Right.
hey,
I'm
I'm going
here.
to be in town.
Right.
So if I'm already here, I've already made the trip. If you're going to meet me halfway, those are the relationships that I'm maintaining
Absolutely. And then you can see who's making the same effort back.
back because I can count on, two
Exactly.
hands.
Yeah.
And of course everybody's situation is different. It's much easier to travel
Right.
with no kids versus, people with
Absolutely.
kids.
Yeah.
So all things with a grain of salt. But
Absolutely.
you're one of a few that, have made the trip to come down to see me and spend
Absolutely.
time with me. So yeah.
Which is true. And I think again it speaks on it. You make time. I'm a firm believer. And I mean, I'll just say this is my belief. I believe you make time for what you want to make time for.
And there's always the ability to make time. It's a choice.
Exactly. It's a choice. And you might have to, whether it's pivoting a little, because like you said, you'll give notice. You'll say it's on this or that. And even you showing up for this, like it shows that when people are genuine and people really care, they'll make time for what they are willing to make time for. So I don't see it as a burden that, hey, a friend of mine who states away is finally going to be in closer proximity. Why would I not show up? Why would I not now say, okay, I'll take the hour plus drive to get to her family's house so that I'm not putting an extra burden when at least in the state. She's at least present. She's local. Let me now meet her wherever she is. And it just, I mean, it goes back to that idea of like meeting someone where they're at kind of idea and attitude. Like, clearly I'm going to do that because this relationship matters to me. So I want to make sure that I'm available to do so. So we could talk about this forever and ever, ever. I love the fact that we're throwing out there. I don't want to say how simple, because it's not necessarily that maintaining friendships is simple, but I do think that at times people make it more difficult
Yes.
than it needs to be.
So, yeah, it's almost like a play on words, right?
Right.
Friendship can be simple,
There it is.
right?
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be overcomplicated with emotions, expectations,
exactly.
judgment, whatever have you.
Right.
So it can be simple.
Exactly.
That's not to say that it's not going to take effort,
Right.
but it can be simple.
And yet anything, again, taking it with a grain of salt, anything that is important, right? Anything that is important to an individual, at some point, it should take effort. Like, if you want to be the best at fill in the blank, you have to practice, you have to put effort into it, whatever the case is. If you want to go and follow different career pursuits, you have to put effort into that. And I think that in any relationship, intimate, personal, whatever it is, there is a certain level of effort that it must be met with
Right.
if it matters to you. And again, that's why I say I don't want to oversimplify it, but if it matters, that effort won't feel exhaustive
Right.
because it matters, so you're going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to do something because it's important to you. And so that's why I'm like, I agree. It is a play on words, and I don't want to oversimplify it, but I do want to share the fact that you can have this kind of friendship. The recipe for it is what we're talking about. It's not having the expectation, any kind of expectations on one another. It's the idea of genuinely accepting a person for exactly who they are, that
And where they are.
and where they are in life. That's beautiful. Like, it goes back to that idea of like, show me who you or that idea of like, show me who your friends are and I'll show you like who you are. I think that to a certain degree that does hold true to a certain degree, because when you maintain particular values that I think when it comes to like inner core values, we share a lot. So while we're not the same in a lot of respects, we still hold true to certain things. So we accept one another, right? But then also, I don't set anything about me onto you and vice versa. You're not putting on me anything that you feel should be different. You're saying that's Lissette being Lissette. Lissette's going to do whatever it is Lissette's going to do. And you don't you don't judge me in those arenas. And I think that that's huge. It's a vice versa. Like, we're just holding space for that. And then and finally, like, I'm going to actually bring it together. I always do key takeaways at the end of our episode, but I'm basking in the fact that like this formula is a possible formula. And I do believe that it's important to have a few relationships that are like this, because there's nothing better than knowing that I can randomly, without rhyme or reason, pick up my phone and call you, and you're not going to hit me with, where have you been for X amount of time? You're going to, if you're available, hey girl, and we just start talking. It could be whatever it is. Like, if I call you, it's going to be met with acceptance, excitement, and what's going on. There's no like I have people where I dread, oh man, I haven't spoken to such and such person for X amount of time.
Mhm.
I want to call, but sometimes I'll go even further of not speaking because I'm dreading that moment of,
Of
oh, now you want to
reconnection.
call, and
Yeah.
that reconnection conversation that needs to happen about what's been going on in life and why we haven't spoken, that it leads to even further distance
Mhm.
because I don't even want to have to deal with that strain, that conversation that comes after it. So there's nothing better than being able to pick up a call, like picking up my phone, should I say, and just saying, "What's up?" and met with, "What's up? What's
Yeah.
going on? How are you?" Like, and
No headspace prep for the conversation, no anxiety for what's gonna come. If someone
exactly.
answers the phone, it's, like, almost better if they don't.
Exactly. All right. So, I'm going to ask you two more last questions and then we're going to talk about all this, all right? So, what advice would you give someone currently trying to navigate a long-term friendship in adulthood?
Currently trying to navigate a friendship in adulthood. Grace.
Mm,
Have it. Give it.
yes.
Um, because everybody is going through their own journey, and, um you just don't really even know the depth of those journeys sometimes because
Right.
everybody isn't sharing every aspect of what they're going through, right? So a lot of
Girl.
times, sometimes think about our conversations. We're touching the surface
Right.
because we're trying to maintain what we have, right?
Right.
So when we have our brief moments of connection where we're like, "Hey, we got to get reconnected real quick,"
Right.
we're touching the surface, um, the very generic important things like
Mhm.
this. We
Right.
can't even get into the depth of it sometimes.
Right.
So have grace. Have grace
Absolutely.
that and belief that this person
Mhm.
who's making time, no matter how much time it be, i- is coming from a genuine place.
Right.
So, even if there's times you can't show up,
Right.
and there's going to be times you can't show up, and it's not because you don't want to,
Right.
there could be extenuating circumstances.
Absolutely.
And have grace in that,
Right.
that they are present when they can be
Right.
because they want to be.
Absolutely.
Um, and lose the expectations. We have so many expectations in every other aspect of our lives,
Right.
work,
Mhm.
parenthood,
Right.
relationships, like
Right.
romantic relationships. Do
Absolutely.
our friendships have to be that hard too, then? So, grace.
Fair.
It's
That's
grace.
exactly it. And you hit something right there. Like, we're gonna go left real quick because I feel like in general, we live in a society that just wants to point fingers so much,
Mhm,
wants to like, hey, you did this wrong. Hey, you did that. Like, we're in such a place, especially with, again, we talked about social media quick, but like, especially where information is available and people are able to share about themselves on like generic aspects and give like just highlight reels of their
mhm.
lives so quickly and so rapidly that at times I think we forget that there's like multiple layers to a person. There's multiple ventures, ideas, feelings that a person can go. And like you said, we make space because I also don't want it to be misconstrued. We are there for each other for the
Oh, yeah.
hard times as well. But it's beautiful that we share space to say, hey, wherever you are, whatever you have going on, I'm here, I'm present. And it's met with grace and it's met with love and compassion. And yet, there's also a lot of things that we've gone through separate from one another. And I know that I dropped a bomb on you recently on some things that I had to go
Mhm,
through. And we have to have those kind of conversations. And it's like, I had no idea. I didn't
right.
know that this was happening in your life, but I'm not met with judgment again. I'm met with, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Are you good? And then that's the end of that. Like, I don't even have to give further explanation if I don't want to,
Mhm,
and vice versa. And it speaks to the beauty of having that genuine connection. It's like, I'm here if you want me.
mhm.
I'm okay if I'm not the one you want to have a conversation with. I make space for whatever that looks like or whatever that is. I love you all the same. And that's it. Like, we're just
I think it's the comfort of knowing that if we needed to pick up the phone,
yes.
the other one is going to answer it. And even if that means not answering it right there in that moment, but if
Correct.
there's a call made where
Right.
we need something, need it,
Absolutely.
that it is going to be, that needs going to be met.
Correct. And without question, like we both know that that's always going to be there, no matter what. I don't have to second guess. I don't have to wonder. I know that it'll be met. And I pray vice versa.
Yeah.
Um, so then last question, and this is something I've asked literally every single person I've had come on the show, and it's that idea of reflectiveness. What advice would you give younger Mindy?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a hard question because I think everybody always thinks, or maybe no, maybe they don't. Because if I would given myself any advice, would I be who I am today?
Ooh,
Right.
right.
So maybe I would have just told myself to not be so hard on yourself.
Mm,
You were going to make mistakes.
right,
So does everybody else.
right.
Sometimes it ain't going to be pretty,
Facts.
but all you can do is brush yourself off, learn from it, make the best of it.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't even say, "Oh, do better in school," because
Hey, look where it got you.
yeah,
You're fine.
I'm fine.
Right.
So I don't know. I have no idea. That's such a hard question.
But I think you answered it. I do think that at times the best advice is just be present. Like just give yourself more grace, give yourself
Yeah.
more opportunity to be. Because I know that both of us, one thing we do have in common, we are ambitious women. We are women that like want to strive to be the best versions of ourselves. And in that, I do think that it comes with an underlying, and I'm working through that, like an underlying I must, I should, I
Mhm.
have to, fill in the blank for whatever the next thing is. And grace is something that I think that at times as people we might lack.
Mhm.
So giving yourself even that space is giving yourself amazing advice, because if nothing else, that's the one thing that probably will be missing
Yeah.
in a lot of.
Probably even in adulthood, right?
Right. Right.
Sometimes there's going to be a whoops, and you just
Yeah,
have to recover, and that's it.
exactly. Because you just want to be the best at whatever it is you're. I want to be the best mom. I want to be the best entrepreneur. I want to be the best whatever. I mean, because we're competitive by nature, so
Mhm.
it's a intermittent, like it's already there. So I think that's the best advice that one can give, and that leads me to my key takeaways. So my key takeaways from today's conversation on low maintenance friendships. One, I'm going to literally repeat what was just said. Give yourself and give the friend, whoever it may be, grace. Grace to move, grace to show up when they're able to, grace to just be whoever it is that they are. The second is to let go of expectation. When you genuinely connect with a person, meet that individual exactly where they are. Let go of an expectation of they must. Get rid of your to dos. Just accept that individual. And my third takeaway from today's conversation is that time in and of itself is precious. Y'all have heard me say it before, and I'm going to say it right now. Life be lifing. We all have our own battles. We all have our own circumstances. So when you've got time and space and energy to show up for those people that matter to you, just show up. Let go of any of the other things. Like I said, don't have expectations, just enjoy that present moment and accept it for whatever it is. And my final takeaway is when you find a person that you literally know is going to be in your life forever, hold dear to them, love on them, and accept exactly who they are and celebrate those moments. So, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I pray you guys see how much I genuinely adore this woman. She's phenomenal. She's been in my life for over 20 years. I'm excited for who you are as a mom. I'm excited for what you have going on. If I don't say it enough, I adore you. I love you for everything you are. So, with that, sending light, sending love. See you next time.